After centuries of sleep, the Yeti awakens to a world turned hostile by an unrelenting blizzard. The Yeti feels the temperature plummet to -5 degrees Celsius. Winter has come early and merciless. Undaunted by the gathering fury, the Yeti lets out a primal challenge to the storm. Step by heavy step, the Yeti pushes into the heart of the blizzard at -5 degrees Celsius.
The Yeti's path disappears almost instantly. Nature erases all traces of his presence.
The cold bites deeper. Even the Yeti's legendary fur struggles against the freeze. Instinct guides the Yeti toward hidden rivers. Survival demands he find food soon. At the frozen lake, the Yeti faces his first true test in the -10 degrees Celsius storm. With raw strength, the Yeti breaks through the frozen barrier to reach life below. Patience becomes the Yeti's greatest weapon against hunger in sub-zero hell. A meager prize, the Yeti claims his first bite of survival. Barely enough to quiet the growling stomach grump, the Yeti eats sparingly to make it last. The cold fights back, sealing away the Yeti's lifeline within minutes. Relentless gusts test the Yeti's balance and resolve in the endless whiteout. Night approaches and the Yeti must build shelter before the temperature drops further. With powerful strokes, the Yeti carves a refuge from the very storm attacking him. The Yeti crafts a natural igloo, warmth trapped by snow against -10 degrees Celsius death. In darkness and relative quiet, the Yeti seeks precious rest from the blizzard's roar. Even inside, the cold seeps in. The Yeti fights hypothermia with every breath. Hunger remains a constant companion club. The Yeti eats just enough to keep moving. Routine becomes survival. The Yeti returns to the ice for another desperate hunt. The Yeti adapts, turning ice into tools against the frozen world. Small victory aside, the Yeti secures barely enough for another freezing day. No waste, the Yeti caches what little he can against future starvation. Seeking better shelter, the Yeti climbs higher into the blizzard's domain. Visibility 0, the Yeti navigates by instinct alone in -10 degrees Celsius chaos. The cold attacks extremities. The Yeti fights to keep blood flowing. An emergency windbreak hit. The Yeti buys time against the storm's full wrath. Barely sustained, the Yeti endures another long, dark, freezing night. Experience teaches, the Yeti upgrades his shelter for longer survival. Rest is luxury. The Yeti enters a semi-hibernation state to preserve warmth. A brief lull pant, the Yeti seizes the moment to hunt more aggressively. The Yeti refuses to yield. A rare bounty too. The Yeti finally gets a fuller meal in the storm. Fuel for the fight, the Yeti regains power from his hard-won catch. After days of hell, the Yeti senses the blizzard's grip loosening. preparation for the final push, the Yeti fortifies his base. For the first time, true rest comes to the Yeti as nature relents. Light returns. The Yeti has survived the worst of the frozen nightmare. Final reward menu. The Yeti claims a substantial meal. No more barely surviving, the Yeti eats with satisfaction. The storm broken, the Yeti moves toward recovery. A testament to endurance time, the Yeti leaves his frozen sanctuary. Toward warmer valleys king, the Yeti's legend continues. Shedding the ordeal, the Yeti emerges renewed. A cry of victory echoes across the mountains. From the brink of death, the Yeti rises, unbreakable. Mystery endures. The Yeti's survival story is written in snow and silence. A timeless... The Yeti presses forward, knowing the blizzard can return at any moment in these unforgiving heights. The Yeti reopens his lifeline. Persistence is the key to outlasting the freeze. Motionless and patient, the Yeti waits for the fish that could mean another day of survival. A hard-fought prize, the Yeti secures barely enough to keep the hunger at bay. The Yeti eats sparingly, rationing every bite against the endless cold. The Yeti hides his future meals. Foresight becomes survival in this frozen world. Another front approaches Nay. The Yeti hurries to reinforce his sanctuary. The Yeti battles the creeping cold by strengthening his frozen fortress. Even legends feel the bite. The Yeti fights hypothermia through sheer will. Barely sustained, the Yeti consumes just enough to maintain his strength. The Yeti rises once more, ready to face whatever the blizzard throws next. Blinded by snow, the Yeti navigates by memory and instinct alone. Raw power meets frozen resistance. The Yeti refuses to go hungry. A small windfall termita. The Yeti claims more than yesterday's meager haul. The Yeti fuels his body while the storm tries to take it away. Danger lurks beneath. The Yeti learns to respect the fragile frozen surface. The Yeti climbs away from the treacherous lake as the blizzard roars louder. The wind tests the Yeti's strength. He stands like an ancient mountain. The cold attacks relentlessly. The Yeti must keep moving to survive. In the brief calm, the Yeti rations his hard-won food once again. The Yeti expands his refuge. Experience teaches him to prepare for the worst. Rest becomes strategy. Koni. The Yeti enters a low-energy state to preserve heat. A momentary reprieve, the Yeti seizes the chance for a bigger hunt.
Finally, a worthy catch. The Yeti feels strength returning.
No more barely surviving. The Yeti replenishes his reserves. The Yeti prepares for the next wave. Survival is never certain. The Yeti fortifies his home against the cold's endless assault. True rest finally comes between. The Yeti recovers from days of relentless struggle. Signs of change. The Yeti senses the blizzard's power beginning to fade. The Yeti fishes with renewed purpose as the freeze loosens its grip. Nature offers mercy. The Yeti gathers more than he needs for once. Satisfaction after suffering hunger. The Yeti finally eats without fear. The Yeti glimpses hope. Warmer lands lie beyond the peaks. The Yeti sheds the storm's weight. Renewal begins. After endless nights, the Yeti welcomes the sun's warmth.
A cry of triumph. The Yeti has conquered the frozen nightmare.
The Yeti moves forward calmly. The ordeal has forged him stronger. Undefeated, the Yeti carries the scars of survival with pride. Farewell to the frozen refuge. The Yeti leaves his winter prison. Ascent to freedom, free. The Yeti rises above the blizzard's domain. Warmth returns. The Yeti feels life returning to his limbs.
From the brink of death, the Yeti stands eternal and unbroken.
Wisdom gained in ice. The Yeti carries the lessons of endurance. Mystery calls. The Yeti vanishes into legend once again. The Yeti's shelter stands silent, a monument to primal resilience. The storm is over. The Yeti's survival saga echoes forever. In the heart of the Himalayas, the Yeti endures frowns, timeless, unbreakable, alive. After endless days of battle, the Yeti feels the first true promise of warmth on his ancient skin. The Yeti senses change. The merciless freeze begins to loosen its deadly grip.
With cautious hope, the Yeti returns to the frozen waters, for what he prays is his final, desperate hunt.
The ice yields more readily. The Yeti knows nature is finally relenting.
Abundance returns inward. The Yeti claims a prize worthy of a survivor. For the first time in weeks, the Yeti eats without fear of tomorrow's hunger. The Yeti harvests generously. The long famine is truly over. Strength floods back into the Yeti with every bite and every ray of sun. The Yeti returns to the shelter that saved him. Adonia, a frozen monument to his will. The Yeti feasts in the place where he once barely survived on scraps. Light enters the Yeti's refuge Anuat, a symbol that darkness is ending. The Yeti allows himself a moment of peace after the storm's long war. The mountains awaken.
the Yeti witnesses the slow return of life.
No longer dependent on fish alone, the Yeti discovers nature's new gifts.
Life reclaims the heights. The Yeti is no longer alone in silence.
Blizzard defeated, the Yeti stands victorious beneath a clearing sky. A triumphant bellow, the Yeti declares his mastery over the frozen nightmare. The Yeti releases his winter prison. Freedom calls from below.
With each collapse, the Yeti says good cold.
The Yeti leaves his frozen sanctuary behind. A chapter closed. A legend strengthened.
Step by step, the Yeti moves toward warmer valleys and new beginnings. The promise of spring draws the Yeti downward. Survival gives way to renewal. Fresh water flows freely, the Yeti sheds the final remnants of winter, reborn in the mountain light. The Yeti basks in heat he thought he might never feel again.
In this quiet moment, the Yeti reflects on the ordeal that forged him stronger.
The world below awakens. The Yeti walks toward abundance once more. Life returns in numbers. The Yeti knows the hardest days are behind him. From the jaws of death, the Yeti emerges into a world reborn.
The cold becomes memory. The Yeti feels the mountain's gentle embrace again.
No more barely surviving, the Yeti thrives in the returning spring. The Yeti honors the place that tested him awfully, and the place he conquered. No words needed. The Yeti's survival is written across the mountains. The legend walks on, timeless, unbreakable, eternal. Even his tracks disappear yet the story remains. The Yeti's refuge stands empty, a fretful tea, a silent witness to primal endurance.
The storm is gone forever now.
From Maigata's 10 degrees Celsius hell to the warmth of life, Wuni, the Yeti, has prevailed. A final cry across the peaks. The Yeti lives. The Yeti endures.
Where the Yeti walked, mystery lingers. Injury, a tale older than the ice itself.
The survivor moves on, carrying the strength of winter within.
Part of the Himalayas now, the Yeti becomes legend, eternal.
Life triumphs where the Yeti fought new. Renewal follows survival. The sound of victory lingers, then silence, then peace. The Yeti has gone to Prague, but his story remains carved in snow and stone. Even the last ice surrenders. The Yeti's winter is over. In every frozen peak and every warm valley, the Yeti lives on. The survivor, the legend, the Yeti, forever walking the high places of the world. The Yeti's survival is complete. The legend continues in the